Hello, and welcome back to another critical live stream. It's a pretty good Sunday for me, but the important question is, how is your Sunday going so far? We have Pear here mentioning that we're finally in August, and a person from Germany agrees, the real August, not those fake ones. Oh man, that's pretty good. I hadn't thought about that. Last Sunday was a fake August because we checked out July submissions on it. We got Zeno the plushie here, Observe the Train, FHI, Stringhead, Charm Tiger, Cracked Machine. Glad to have everyone here and everyone else who's still just coming in. Spiral Out, welcome. What's up? Dude, I feel like that's the most millennial thing that I still like just really enjoy. I still say that to my friends when I get on voice chat. Classic. Real August. Yeah. It's certainly feeling more like real August, weather-wise for me as well. The heat from the summer is mellowing out just a little bit. Fall is still pretty bad around here, but it's better than June and July, even May, dude. We had a pretty gnarly spring around here. So it's nice to kind of feel the temperatures lighten up a little bit. The first week of August was pretty bad though. So I feel that like on the musical level, but also weather. We're finally getting to real August here. All right. As I mentioned on Discord, we only have 11 tracks today, and we might not even get to all of them, though maybe we will also end the stream early. It really just depends on how the discussion goes. I got to be out maximum 2 hours. So let's get this train on the road. We're going to kick it off with some Glen Hansard with the song McCormack's Wall. We got well, it's a violin, but I think in this case we're going to call it a fiddle. I'm excited for this. Looks like we got some cool music right here. This one comes out as from Stringhead. Irish singer-songwriter Glen Hansard passed away on July 29th. Here's a lovely drinking song to remember him. This is a live rendition, just a piano, two fiddles, called it, and his unmistakable voice. All right, I don't think I know... why isn't the comment going away? I don't think I know who Glen Hansard is. Maybe once I hear his voice, it'll click. But I'm excited to hear this unmistakable voice of his. Let's dive straight into this. This track, actually, the first 3 tracks today are all incredibly dynamic. That didn't take very long, did it? All right, let's kick this off. See what's going on. You don't think you know any of the artists? I know Icarus the Owl, but actually now that you say that, this is going to be a day of discovery for me as well. So I'm excited. Lots of stuff in here. Based off titles, I think I'm going to enjoy. Let's see what's going on here with Glen.
Well, I've not been honest, darling. No, I've not been straight at all. Well, I beg your pardon. The night we jumped McCormack's wall, I was so happy just
Very
to be
interesting.
with you. I'd have said anything at all. Now I could scream your name, try pass the blame, but I know you won't respond. Well, here we are. What's there to do?
Too early to drink, ought to be green tea. I got water, so I feel it.
With the lark in and the dew upon the dawn.
If you'd like, you can join the Patreon, linked below the video. Join at the critic tier or higher, and we'll have a request in on the 23rd is the next open slot.
For the prisoners and the law.
Can't drink, also got water. Yeah.
Who drank their bellies raw, and to all the good Samaritans who ever found us in the dark, and to all who've been or come between, the lovers in the park, and to all the Odimshi singers with their roots in holy ground, and forgiveness still lingers.
Yeah, there's a link to Patreon underneath the video. Join at the critic tier or higher. The next open slot will be on the 23rd.
What can we do? La da I'm gonna ride Black River.
So we're kicking off today with a bit of a vibe here.
I'm gonna ride Black River.
The entire flow of his I find to be really interesting. He has an immaculate control of not just time, but also pacing.
And I'll sing it right, and I'll say goodnight. Unless they're serving another one.
Absolutely. I'm actually quite impressed how well the group is staying in time here, the audience. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to kick the day off. Very calm, serene. I do feel that it's not a joyful song, though we do end up hearing a bit of that towards the end of the track. But it is warm. It is very human and inviting. And I generally love that. I still think that the pacing of all of it is what stands out most to me. I picked it up right at the beginning, the push and pull of the faster bit of 3 and then the slower bit of 3, and how this control consistently went through the track as we introduced more people. And Glen had less control over the tempo itself. He changed up the pacing, the way that his vocal melodies flowed, as Sonata pointed out. And I think that that just works really well at continuing to create this tension, this stretch and release of time throughout the track, if not tempo-wise, then just the flow of things. The finale was a nice bit of uplift from something that was a bit heavier of a track into something a bit more joyous, maybe as a way to show the other side of the coin. As I mentioned, there's already a warmth in that track, so that just kind of allowed that to exude out and become the song rather than become a flavor, or rather than settle as a flavor within it. I did find it interesting when the child was at the piano towards the end of the track, and I just thought it was an audience member who just walked up, wanted to be a little closer to the music, but then they played the higher melody part in that final, I guess the penultimate section. Then, of course, they started dancing. So it seems that they were part of this performance from the start. But I thought that was kind of interesting, too, bringing a third hand onto the piano. That's something I wasn't expecting. And maybe that was already there, but I wasn't picking up on it the first time through the chorus. But I did find that to be an interesting thing going on there. View ID Records. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Follower goal met. 270. Very cool. Yeah, I enjoyed that though. Not a lot to dive into and analyze. Not outside of the tempo stuff, but fantastic vibe, great musicianship, and just a very warm way to kick off the day. Just finished your first Cubase project? Dude, that's awesome. Is this the first time you're working within a DAW or just your first time in Cubase? All right. Next up, we have something from Artur Kordas. New Dawn from the Darkwood soundtrack. Also, I really like this music video. It's just a visualizer for the song, but it has, as you can see at the bottom, a progress bar. And while the visualizer is nice, the EQ-based visualizer, I really wish more videos on YouTube that aren't music videos had the progress bar in them. I don't know. YouTube already has a progress bar, but I just think it's a nice little addition to it. With stretch and release, then tempo change at the end. I'm calling it prog folk. Absolutely. I don't see why you want it. Tried Fruity Loops first, then Ableton, but I couldn't get anything beyond simple loops out of my hands until I went into Cubase. Dude, if it works for you, that's all that matters. I'm a fan of Reaper myself. I will continue to promote Reaper. I think it's phenomenal that when you install it, it's like, I don't know, 60 megabytes or something. It is so de-bloated, but it works for everything I need. But Cubase, man, or anything else, you know, Ableton, whatever. If it works for you, it's got the tools you need, and it allows you to have that workflow to get the music out. It doesn't matter what you use, dude. Cubase is so 2005. It's funny because in 2007, I was using Cubase. Cubase Artist, maybe? Cubase Studio? Whatever was the cheaper one. I needed something for school, and that's what I ended up landing on. Yeah, Reaper's definitely a build your own work environment. It starts out completely blank slate. But that works for me because I find that other programs just tend to have a lot of bloat in it, stuff that I don't need or stuff that I'll replace with a different VST or something. Fruity Loops to Cubase is like time traveling. But the thing is Fruity Loops is actually doing better. Their recent software, I think, is much improved from what they were when I remember them back in the 2000s. Yeah, plenty of producers are still using it. Cubase does feel a bit like a blast in the past. I wasn't even aware they were still around. But Fruity Loops is... They're still around. They're still improving. I can't believe they haven't... I mean, I guess they are FL Studio now. Nobody... I mean, I guess some people still call them Fruity Loops. But that's definitely a title from the early internet. Not very professional, I suppose. Cool Edit Pro. I don't know about that one. That's completely new to me. All right, we got some context for this coming in from FHI, yet another video game soundtrack. I hope you have more to say about this than the Hylix track I gave you last time. Anyways, this is one of the least depressive and oppressive tracks from Darkwood, which together with Cruelty Squad are my favorite games ever. There's a lot of drone and atmosphere and not much. Did you just ask me to have more to say about a song that's just drone and not much happening in the whole OST, really? But the emotional layer is superb. All right. Let's see if I can find anything to say about this. Let's dive in, see what's going on with New Dawn. If I have nothing to say, the chat might help. The game mostly uses silence to scare you, so the soundtrack's probably pretty low-key. How the brome felt like the Rome. This is certainly a drone. I was going to ask about the typo. That's autocorrect. I was going to ask if you do like swipe typing or something like that. Gooding you as we speak. All right, let's feel this. So you mistyped hold as good with just regular typing. That's interesting. Autocorrect is wild. Bro, you're time traveling all over the place. Wait, this song's almost over? I'm looking at the progress bar. I told you it would come in handy. We're 2/3 done. Maybe it also has a little jig at the end. Yeah, I'm still impressed with the audience being on tempo. I mean, they still rushed a little bit on that last track, but every time I'm listening to live music and the audience starts clapping, does that go into the next track? And the audience starts clapping, it just rushes, dude. Audience and rushing is just, I hate it. I hate playing when an audience tries to clap because I have to hold the tempo down and I feel like I'm dragging. The track loops. Oh, that makes sense. Good to have an ambient track that doesn't drag. All right, so New Dawn. New Dawn. I do feel that this song speaks to possibility. There is a baseline note. I don't think that drone changed. Maybe once, but I don't think it was like just a slow chord progression. I think it was just one tone the entire time. And we would get these little snippets of concepts on the higher pitch stuff. You got 2 notes here, and then a break, a couple notes there, and then a break. I think for the concept of a dawn, this plays into that well. It's heavy. There's a weight to it, especially given the lack of momentum. Like, it's just stuck in this time, but there is hope for change. And I think that's really all that track says to me. Primarily because it's that one thing. It's the drone, and then it's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these little snippets. They're pretty sparse in how they how often they pop up. But the song does it wraps up much sooner than I would have expected. Not as much downy as slowly progressing and resting in atmosphere. Yeah. And context makes sense too. Like, I'm kind of curious where this fits into the game, how that bleeds into the experience and influences the experience of being wherever this is. It fits where the situation the track is played. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Oh, droney, not drowny. No, I agree with that. I think there is some movement to the lower part, but it is very slow to the point of I would not be upset if someone did misunderstand that as drone, because there's just such a lack of movement to it. ADHD ambient. Never know how to feel when listening to ambient track. Like, I really rarely feel an emotion and more so just picture a sensory sensation or a place. This one specifically, I picture a desert from the warmth or something. That's totally valid, dude. And I think for most ambient music, I'm right there with you. Because to me, ambience is something that sits around. If it had directionality, if it had a story to tell, that would be melody. That would be stronger compositional components of like having meat to the bone. But this is pure atmosphere. And for me, atmosphere tends to sell a concept, an idea, a description, a place. I think the fact that you feel a desert here is, yeah, that works. Your ADHD plagued brain loves ambient? That's interesting. Does it like help your mind slow down, help to focus on things? Just help you be in the moment? Also, you were talking about audience doing multimeter clapping. That's crazy. But I've also seen, I think on a TED Talk, somebody have an audience sing, like collectively in pitch generally, even though most of the people in the audience probably weren't singers. So the collective ability for groups as large, for large groups to play music, even more complex music, is really interesting. I don't know what psychology goes into that, but I think we need to study this. Why is it that you can get groups of people to do things that they couldn't do on their own musically? I mean, some things it makes sense with just sheer numbers. Like, you know, why can a group of people lift a car but not one person? Like, that makes sense. But like skills, art skills like this is interesting. Your ADHD brain needs chaos. Chaos and cacophony. That noise. I enjoyed that though. And I think Darkwood is on my list of things to play. You might have put it on my radar actually. But I haven't gotten around to it yet. I wouldn't say that soundtrack drew me to it in a way that I feel like I need to play, but I do think that it's going to be an essential part to the experience of it all. You talk about it all the time. Yeah, it might have been you then. All right. Next up, we have some William D. Drake. We have 3 artists so far who are just themselves. We don't have any bands yet. This one comes at us from Elbow Juice with no context. We're going to look at the track Ornamental Hermit. Let's dive into this, see what's going on.
Of all
This is going to be another dynamic one, so it's quiet now, but it will get loud. Everything about this is really interesting, from the clarinet to the hurdy-gurdy to the chordal progressions, the melody writing, but even the atmosphere is infectious. It's like Oingo Boingo and Cardiacs mixed together into something incredibly theatric. Those piano choices are... You know, looking at the artists today, I don't think we have any metal except for the next, this one after Jade Warrior. Unsubscribes. The Gurdy just like sitting in this area, not really moving away from it. Very quick vibrato on that too. Could you imagine What chord is that? That's the all notes chord. The look on my... Dude, it was such a gorgeous song. Ugh. The Rising of the Lights on Onomatopoeia Records. Dang, man. I really enjoyed the first 5 minutes of that. You don't want to say they ruined the ending, but maybe it wasn't the best choice. I can agree with that. I really liked everything else about the song, even as they approached dissonance as a texture within. I had mentioned that there's a few piano notes in that penultimate section or so that kind of just they didn't quite work for me. They were off-putting in a way that I think was certainly intentional, but I found that most of this track was melancholically beautiful. There was a dreariness, there is a tension to it all, sure, but it never really veers into the avant-garde area. And they started to dive into that slowly towards the end of the track, but then just to end on that loud banging. I mean, I guess the song kind of pointed towards that. It felt like there was a massive leap where we went from artsy into experimental, and it just sat there for way too long. Can't stop laughing at my face turning into concern. Abrasiveness enhances beauty. Absolutely. I have an avant-garde lack of appreciation for avant-garde. I don't know, dude. Like, I can see the vision behind it. I don't think it was a bad idea. It's just, I think that there could have been harmonious ways to explore that, or maybe more delicate ways to explore that. Maybe delicate isn't the right way to go about it because it is abrasive. It is in your face. You can't really do that lightly. It'd be like chastising metal for being metal. Like, that's what it is. That's what the bands are aiming for. But I don't know. I think that idea could have come across in a more traditionally melodic way while still encapsulating this feeling of angst and destruction. The rest of it is gorgeous, though. The harmonies are wonderful from the vocals, but also the chord progressions that sit underneath everything. The clarinet solos and lead lines were beautiful, and I love the way that those were interwoven into the vocal melodies. The bass was consistently solid, always moving, walking bass lines for days, and just sounds great underneath everything. The hurdy-gurdy solo was very cool. The general rising and falling energy, the high contrast, the dynamics of this track. I can go on and on about how cool this song is, both from a technical perspective, but also just the way that it all comes together. And I love this group of instruments too. I think you could even hear, going back to the old topic, listen to the vocalist in those final moments, and he's purposefully singing out of tune against his piano part. So, like I said, they're certainly pushing towards this more abrasive angle. Little bits here and there are starting to force the song to break down in ways. I am kind of curious what the ending means then, if the song breaks down and then we return back to the melody, but only one time through, so it feels more like a little ending lick than a return to form. That stands out to me. Maybe the lyrics would give clarity, yeah. But I think at the end of the day, what's important here is that I do see the vision. Sometimes when it comes to these choices, I'm like, well, that was just random. I don't think this was random. I just think that it was very in your face. For a song that as delicately moved between its ideas as it did, it became very direct in a way that the rest of the song seems to be at ends with. But again, from a thematic or artistic perspective, that's also a really big shift there. And maybe that is what they wanted. They wanted something to be off-putting. What is this picture? All right, let's see. I don't know what I was expecting a picture of a bass guitar with legs walking, but it's somebody standing over a bass guitar. I feel like there's a joke there, but it is going right over my head. All right, next up we have Jade Warrior. This band right here is going to be a metal band today. I don't know if we have anything else. I do think we're going to get noisy a little bit towards the end of here. I think there's something punky. But, I mean, we're going to wrap it up with an orchestra. We have Icarus the Owl, which is very twinkly math rock in here. So, I don't know, we might have a little more aggressiveness in the middle of today's stream, but I think we're going to wrap it up very light too. Kim Gordon, walking on a bass. That's what I missed. Sits on... Is that the text version of holding your tongue sitting on your fingers? That's pretty good. All right. This one comes from Tiger Charm, prog rock band prominent in the early 70s. This one from 72. They had an experimental element to them that would be called world music today. As their name implies, they had a duality to their music, i.e. they worked with soft and hard sounds or light and dark sounds. All right. Let's dive in, see what's going on with May Queen. Dude, I love bouncy drums. I wasn't expecting the spaciousness. Goofy percussion? Nah, dude. This sounds so good. Oh, in a good way. Yeah, it's something we don't hear too much of in Western music. But if you put pressure on a drum head, you can shift the pitch of it by creating tension. And by moving your finger across the drum head, you can change the pitch of it, which is what we're hearing here. We just don't hear too much of that in Western music. But I love it. It's like Paul Simon world music before Paul Simon became obsessed with world music. May Queen as a title is grabbing a lot of people's attention. Yeah. Indian folk music likes to use percussion with that. There's a lot of folk instruments and music from Africa and Asia that use pitched percussion that way. I'm trying to think back to like ancient European music. I'm trying to remember some of my courses about that. I don't think there was too much pitched percussion like this. One of the first intro to include world influences into rock. Would that be alongside the Beatles? I'm trying to think, wasn't the Beatles, weren't they in the 60s when they were introducing the sitar and Indian folk ideas into their music? So Jade Warriors, well, you said 70s. Microtonality, interesting. Okay, Nordic groups might have used drums with pitch changes in their music. Okay, so they picked up at the end of the 60s. So yeah, speaking of the high contrast, trading off flute solos with electric guitar solos. All right. Yeah, dude, that's a fun track right there. To me, it comes off as very light, kind of breezy too, just kind of going where the wind takes you. The song goes in a few different directions, and I don't think that they necessarily, when I'm listening to it, I would never have predicted it went in the direction that it goes, but I think that most of it ends up flowing very well, regardless. And that's neat too, because it's not disjointed, but it is not predictable either. And part of that may just be my separation from the era as well. It's possible that this might seem a bit more typical if you grew up in the 70s rock scene. But for me, it certainly goes in directions I wouldn't expect. The extended solo at the end I found to be the most interesting because the first half or whatever, kind of standard idea of rock and folk influences from around the world, this world music concept. As Charm Tiger mentioned, they were one of the earlier bands doing this, but me having heard other bands doing stuff like this that were probably influenced by bands like this or the Beatles, it's kind of what I would expect, the sorts of combinations of rhythmic devices from Western and Eastern musics kind of coming together and mixing the timbres of them, particularly the percussion from Eastern music with a bit more of the melodic writing from Western music. They were trying to catch a spring breeze through country. Okay, so I'm glad that, yeah, I'm right on board with that then, saying it feels a bit breezy or windy. But the chords that are being played here certainly feel a bit more 70s to me. Like the whole intro, I feel like I've heard before from other bands who are probably influenced by them and the likes of that. But it's the second half that surprises me. We take the energy way down, and then we just kind of chill. 2 to 3 instruments present at a time rather than the large stack of instruments from the intro of the track. And it almost feels empty at times. There's some sections that are just percussion and the flute, or percussion and a guitar. And all I can think to myself is, we need something else here. We need more on the floor to create a stronger foundation. It feels like it's just hovering. We need some atmosphere. We need things to sit around all of this. And they're like, nah, minimalism. That's what we're approaching here. And then the trade-off between the flute and the electric guitar cracks me up, because those two sounds couldn't be further apart if they wanted to be. The flute sounds so tiny and delicate compared to the guitar, and yet those are the instruments that are trading solos. And I think that this massive contrast is exactly what Charm Tiger was talking about with this band, how they explore these massive gulfs, these highs and lows. And I think that they do that well on multiple levels within this track. Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, May 1966, was the most important album ever. Then Beatles were influenced by it to make Sgt. Pepper's a year later, but actually had recorded a sitar song in 65. Yeah, see, I have a lot of these bands kind of together in this conglomeration of the 60s, but I don't have the details of the order of who influenced whom. So something like that's really interesting because to me, I think in my mind, I would have had it reversed with the Beatles influencing the Beach Boys. So it's pretty cool that they were all kind of in conversation with each other rather than a direct line through them. Have a soft spot for jammy instrumental bands, sections of bands like this and Camel. Yeah. Some people absolutely love that. Guitars and black metal. We're going to get a black metal sitar request someday, aren't we? Someday soon, probably. You know, though, I think that'd be pretty neat, just on a sonic level. But also, some of the droniness that sitar music can represent and can kind of sit around would fit rather well with black metal. And black metal with acoustic instrumentation. I mean, we've had black metal with an acoustic guitar underneath it, and I always find that to be a positive addition. So I'm going to say the sitar and black metal is going to work really well. I hope the composition is interesting enough for me, but I think the concept itself is pretty solid. All right. Next up, we have some Conifère. It's French. I'm going to butcher this. Oh, geez. I'm not pronouncing the title. I meant to look this up beforehand and then surprise y'all with a scrappy but doable pronunciation, and I got sidetracked doing parent stuff. So y'all don't get any pronunciation from me today. There's an electric sitar I always remember seeing in the music catalogs I was tempted to get. You know, that makes sense, especially as the sitar was being introduced more into the world of Western rock. Whether India wanted to make an electric sitar or it was a product of the Western world kind of merging with that instrument a lot during the 60s, it makes sense that somebody somewhere would have done this. Brian Wilson was sometimes sleepless over how to surpass the Beatles. That's interesting. I don't, I mean, I guess there's rivalries like Metallica and Megadeth, but again, that's earlier. I can't think of too many bands that are, you know, rivals, playful rivals or otherwise today. I can't think of any bands that are out there on social media saying, yes, this is the band that I want to beat. But I think that's just also because there's so many now. We don't really have like the rock band anymore or the metal bands. Chiptune black metal sounds crazy. Adoring and envying simultaneously, yeah. It's that sort of friendly rivalry that keeps both groups, you know, elevating and keeping each other on their toes. All right. Here we go. Speaking of black metal, a person from Germany says, I told y'all this was going to be heavy. When I think of, I'm just going to say Quebec. I don't know how to pronounce that specific word. Quebec black metal. I think of this band. Let's try their latest track from their split, a double Chants with Vesperal, released in March of this year. It's too many words for me, man. All right, let's kick this. It's gonna be heavy right from the start. I will tell you though, this does not look like a black metal album cover. I can't really read the title of the band, but it's very flowery in ways that black metal isn't. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's a very nice font. It's beautiful, dude. All right, let's see what's going on here. The end is like the water, so Conifère. Oh, Quebecois. I gotcha. Quebec. I'm done. My mouth is not cooperating today. That hi-hat is a fun little flavor here. Quebecois? Quebecois. Where's the emphasis? I guess it's in the second one, so Quebecois? That sounds weird to me. That's gotta be wrong. Very interesting. To drop the energy. Ooh. Yeah, dude, that clean electric sounds great here. Quebecois. Put the emphasis on the last one. The emphasis should be on the E. This reminds me of like Irish punk, but through a metal lens. Really? Clean vocal harmonies in the black metal? Like, imagine if the violin was playing this lead part, though. Yeah, harmonizing that, that's nice. When a black metal song sounds like a serf running away from his master. Yeah, dude, that's a fun song. And I think the thing that stands out to me is how little of it feels like black metal. And I think a lot of that comes down to harmony, the chords chosen. Because most of that song either feels like thrash metal to me or punk. There's so many sections where I thought, well, if the drummer just shifted this up to syncopated bass kicks against like a 2/4 snare drum, you're going to have a punk song. Like classic hardcore punk. And I think that's really interesting that very little of it feels blackened to me. There's certainly the vocals which solidify it, but it's, to me, something that sits in the metalcore sphere, a classic traditional metalcore, bringing together punk and metal. Yeah, the epic choir bit, 100%. Hearing some major keys, yeah, there's definitely a lot of optimism in this song. And I think that all of this is just kind of coming together to create something that doesn't feel super traditionally black metal. And someone else had mentioned, I think it was Pear maybe, that the song is open. You can hear all of the instrumentation within it. Like I mentioned earlier, if you had given that lead line to a fiddle, a violin, rather than that guitar, the whole Irish punk thing would have just came through very clearly. But the fact that you could hear all these instruments is also something that I think kind of separates it from a lot of its contemporaries. I do feel that it went on just a little bit too long. We had that nice section in the middle that kind of gave us some differentiation between the opening and closing sections. Gave us these really moody, almost slower metal solo on the guitar. I thought that was a really nice change of pace. But the first 2 minutes and the final 2 minutes, very samey to me. That might even have been the same sections. It might have been like a verse, chorus, post-chorus, and then the little proggier section, and then another verse, chorus, post-chorus, for all I know. But I did find a lot of repetition in here. And if I would have enjoyed this more, I don't think the repetition really would have been that big of an issue. But yeah, thrash metal's not always my jam. I did enjoy, though, the escalation in the final couple of minutes of this track with the rising energy, whether that was the choir bit or the group vocals, whatever was going on there. And then the constant rising escalation of intensity from the drums, from the guitars, just playing more and faster over time until we hit this big peak at the end, which honestly felt very close to how shoegaze approaches their writing in creating the peaks at the end of their tracks. So I think the big thing that stands out to me here is that while this is certainly an extreme style of metal that probably, yeah, it's certainly blackened in a lot of ways. The inspirations aren't only black metal. These musicians don't just listen to black metal and then emulate what they listen to. Their spectrum of listening is fairly wide, still within a rock, metal, punk sphere, but They're taking influences from a lot of different areas and creating something that, to me at least, is more interesting. Oh no, I missed what the what was from. What is that in reference to? What did I say that was? That was absurd. Oh. Yeah, big shocker there. News of the century. A lot of Quebec black metal bands sound like this. That's good. Maybe that's, if I ever got into black metal, that might be where I need to start. Certainly the more experimental fifth wave stuff that I find interesting every time it's brought up, but this might be another area that I use as a starting point. Often these scenes intermingle. Punk and black metal are definitely the same scene often enough. And see, I find that interesting because even when I go to shows, they're not always completely homogenous. I find it really interesting that, especially maybe like an Eastern European black metal scene, is just that sound. And so many bands that I've been introduced to, particularly out of that region, but even outside of it, just kind of have that sound, that very distinct, singular third wave sound. It, you know, there's a lot of genres that just cross-pollinate, and black metal seems to be one that didn't. Their logo's too readable. That's what I mentioned at the beginning. That's when I knew something was a little off. So I find that's, I mean, yeah, that's definitely the thing there. Quebec, though, wasn't, what was that microtonal group that was really big a couple months ago that kind of went viral? Aren't they also from Quebec? Some interesting stuff coming out of that region. Maybe that's a place to look out for interesting ways of breaking. Yeah, Engine de Poitrine. Yep. That alien clown duo. The French influence makes them artsy. That's funny. That might just be something to pay attention to regardless of the genre, though. All right. This artist I've been looking forward to simply because their title is Fewjar, and I don't know if that is a word or if that's just smashing few jars together, then removing the plural. I don't know. I've got to figure this out. This one comes at us from 2112. It says this pick is just a little tune. I'm always down for little tunes. Let's dive into this, see what's going on with the track Yesterday's Eve. Oh, this is sub 3 minutes. This is definitely a little tune. Tasty bass. One jar is very few. That's true. This sound over here is rather shrill. It's creating a lot of tension.
Tomorrow's message, but everything is at a turning point. Life is coming in.
Gotham B. I can feel that. The vocal production on this section is great. I'm still loving that bass line, dude.
Yesterday's Eve, I lost the night at home, it was selfish over money, yeah. First they love you, then they hate you, then they love you again. There's some things I did in life, I'll never do it again. Even though I knew the risk, I still did it again. Oh, I be my friends, I wish that we can meet up again. Yeah, don't call me black, I'm an African native. I know my roots, so the slave masters hate it. Royalty, publishing, and the masters I own. Self-made, independent, I did that on my own. I can get enough, grinding till my paper straight. Pull up in a foreign car, shining like a diamond still. We never got here, this place is a passage. 30 curtains, hide tomorrow's message.
But everything is at a turning point. Light is coming in.
The influences on this are interesting too. There's certainly some stuff coming in from older R&B, but it's certainly a modern pop production to it too.
But everything is at a turning point.
Oh, that's it. That's actually our next track there. Yeah. I think for the length that it was, it did a great job of doing what it was doing. It's interesting because there's a lot happening here. There's a lot of instruments. We got the bass, we got the guitar, we got some synthesizers or not synth maybe. I don't know. There's certainly some sounds in there beyond those instruments. We got the drums, which feel digital to me. We have the wide vocal stacks going on here, big harmony. Whatever it was doing, it did it. And so like in the, oh, and then there's this thing off in the corner. That guy was always shrill. Not sure what the point of that was, but it added a feel into this. Everything in here is smooth and relaxed, bouncy, you know, just very groovy. And then there's like, like, bro, you're ruining the vibe. But maybe that's the point too. I don't know. Maybe this song is about, you know, anxiety while you're trying to chill out or something. I don't know. Oh, you're referring to the synth genre. I gotcha. So, it has all these layers going on, these little ideas that pop up here and there. There's the very cool production, scooping out sound, creating like emptiness for the vocals to punch in, and then the drums can come back. Like it is consistently changing. But yet when I talk about it, when I want to bring specific things up and I try to recall elements, it's sort of this homogenized experience for me. It's the bass. That's groovy. Love that. The drums lean into that too. They're both moving, but static. There is momentum to them. The bass isn't just doing pedal tones. The drums aren't just locked into a beat, but they're also not exploratory in a way that I would say, you know, these guys are trying to steal a spotlight in any way. I find the drum work to be rather consistent through the entire song. The vocals too, the melody is consistently changing. I don't think any line is just the same musical ostinato with different lyrics to them. There is always a rhythmic shift every 4 bars or whatever their phrasing is. But it also kind of comes across homogenized to me. When I think of the vocals, it's the monolithic concept of what the vocals were. There weren't enough distinct concepts in here despite the consistent change. So it's a song that ends up feeling like a specific vibe, a specific atmosphere, and that's kind of about it in my mind. It's something that if I wanted to talk about in more depth, interestingly and almost counterintuitively, I would need more listens because a lot of it is on the nuanced side of things. And I find that to be rather interesting because it creates a song that is simple, easily digestible on the surface, but the more you listen to it, the more you're going to get out of it. And I think that's the realm where pop music really needs to excel, to make the neat elements, the changes, the non-repetitive components a bit more hidden. Because a lot of pop music tends to be just what it is. And repeat listens don't typically create rewarding scenarios where you can learn more about the song through the repetition. But a track like this does. I feel like the 5th time I listen to it, the 10th time I listen to it, it'll be a different experience lately. Yeah, Tame Impala does a great job of balancing that. Being incredibly digestible, but also having depth. And you know, actually, unless I'm misremembering Tame Impala, they're actually kind of in the same realm right here as Fewjar. I also did enjoy the vocalist switch up, kind of bringing in a bit more of almost a hip hop rap thing going on in the second part of this track. I thought that was just a nice change of pace. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that one down. See where that takes me. Second vocalist is a feature. Okay, at least I know that going in, and I'm not trying to figure out why the rest of the songs I listen to are rather locked into a single vocal style. Oh, man. All right. We got some Kenshi Yonezu here with the track Kickback. I just noticed this. That's Chainsaw Man, though, right? I mean, I don't know about the headpiece, but the chainsaw coming out of the forehead and two arm chainsaws, it's got to be influenced by it at the very least. A link to the Discord can be found underneath the video. I think if not, there's a link to Linktree there, and you can find a link to Discord in that. The song is used as its opening. Okay, there we go. There's the connection I was missing. No context for this one from Duakin. Let's just dive straight in then, I suppose. See what's going on with Kickback. You know, for a song called Kickback, I would expect more chill. I think that's a real vocalist, but the production on it seems to emulate Vocaloids. It was made to be the opening. Okay. Lots of little keyboard textures in here. That little drum hiccup is wild. Yeah, it's still 4/4. We're not skipping a beat. That was a fun transition. Hey, Mark, welcome. There was a key change in there, wasn't there? A random chuckling. Yeah, this is it's song, it's music. It's a very bizarre midpoint between almost too traditional of a upbeat rock song mixed with a very avant-garde expression of that, there's certainly some incredibly odd choices in here that make it feel just a little off-putting, a little esoteric for the style of music that it obviously is. A lot of this is harmonic, I find, but there's also production elements in here that kind of tickle my brain in interesting ways. Little flourishes, especially from the keyboard, that help, I don't know, push the song forward, not necessarily in a momentum way, but an experimentation way. It makes the song consistently lively in a way that I'm wondering always what's around the corner because, well, it feels like anything can happen. And the transition into the bridge was absolutely one of those sort of offbeat, keeping me off guard kind of things. And it was an incredibly fun transition. The entire bridge was also very cool, having this almost larger than life orchestral thing going on with the vocals there. And we ended that with a drop off compressed clean on the vocals, kind of went into a little bit of a rasp and then allowed that to taper off. The entire song kind of bent down pitch wise. And I was like, oh, cool, where's this going? And then it was just the chorus, which we heard like 3 more times in a row, slight variations between them. The first one was a bit more stripped back. The second one was traditional. And then the third, I think, was the key change. So we do have variation on those, but it felt like we were going somewhere new and fresh. And for a track that was consistently telling me, hey, this might seem familiar, but don't fall into your regular expectations, this was very regular. And I felt a little let down with the way that they decided to wrap this up. But I will say that I enjoyed my time with it. I think this is very fun. Chainsaw Man's been an anime that's been on my radar for a while. My buddy told me to check it out back when the season 1 started, which I don't even know how many years ago that was at this point. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but it always seemed interesting. I don't even know what it's about. I just know that it's violent. I mean, it's a dude with chainsaws on his head and arms, so I don't see how it couldn't be. That's about all I know about it. This song doesn't really teach me anything about the show, I don't think. But I do think I wish it was a little stranger. It continued to lean into that, and it didn't. Kind of dropped the ball a little at the end. Bit of a shame given the way that it starts out. There's no blood, only rainbows. I don't know if you're kidding or not. So there's even blood on the album cover, or at least red paint to evoke the, blood spray patterns, especially across the title. I don't see how this couldn't. You gotta be joking with me, right? Next up, we got some Icarus the Owl. This is a group that consistently surprises me. This track is called Blackfish. I did spoil myself a little bit just watching the music video while I was doing the volume checks earlier this morning. Yeah, you're not a jokester. You're always a straight shooter, man. But I saw a lot of double hand, multi-finger tapping going on, so I'm going to figure this is one of their mathier tracks. Let's see. Comment here comes from Sonata. Taking it slow is not winning the poll this week. That's a bit of a bummer. I think I prefer taking it slow over Speed Demons, but we'll see what y'all give me. The fast songs, I don't know why I do that. I should just put things into the polls that I like so that no matter what wins, I'm looking forward to a good week. It's impossible for me not to pick favorites, though. We'll do Taking It Slow, though, I'm sure, another time. We've done it before. I don't know if we've done a speed week, but we've certainly done a slow week. But this was Sonata's pick for Speed Demon. Oh, wait, I had that inverted. Taking It Slow is winning. Reading comprehension. Every week, I feel like I misread at least one thing. All right, so next week is Taking It Slow, or the week after. One of them. This is their pick for Speed Demon. That's all that matters. This is going to be a fast song from Icarus the Owl that I'm assuming is going to be a bit mathy. Let's dive into it. I'm excited. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, that's just me not being able to read. Ooh, I like that fill though. This is 100% my jam. I'm loving it already. Dude, singing while doing that is bonkers. We have a couple people in the community who have posted some videos of just like double tapping and singing a completely different rhythm, and it blows my mind every time someone can do that, man. Interesting guitar line there. That'll slide in sneaky. The button-up shirt and V-neck. Bro, if we only got drone tracks this week. The drummer is so smooth on those snare down the tom runs. So effortless.
Remember the time you struck her, I held you down on the tile floor, flying from all directions, things that you have thrown at him.
Even the bassist is double tapping. Yeah, felt good. Yeah. Interesting shifting from the 5 to a 4 here. And the bass kicks. I don't know what the music video is about, but that little standoff cracked me up. Like, nah, man, you go. I was like, nah, you go. They're just skating. It continues to be consistent for me. If the band has their shirts tucked in and their guitar straps are tight enough that the guitars are above the waistline, it's going to be sick riffs. That's just a rule. And they're continuing this. Dude, everything about this was sick. Great bass licks throughout this entire thing. Multi-finger tapping on the bass. Yes, 100%. I need more of that. I'm going to have to check out this album. I see it's their self-titled album. I don't know if that means it's their earliest or not. Seems to be a trend these days that if you didn't do a self-titled first album, you should probably do it much later in your career. And so while it used to pretty much mean, oh, this was their first album, now it doesn't so much anymore. This was their third. Okay. See? 2 albums before and 2 albums after. Because I've listened to some Icarus the Owl, and while it's certainly more of a progressive pop punk kind of thing, I don't think I've heard anything as intricate as this one. Certainly odd time signatures and some interesting rhythmic devices, but I don't think I've heard anything this intricate as far as like guitar work. The tapping on this from all three guitarists is just phenomenal. It creates a song that feels like it is consistently teetering on the edge. Everything, there's just so many moving components to this, and it feels like it could fall apart at any second, and it just doesn't. The drummer is doing its best to keep everything solid, creating as strong of a foundation for all these moving parts. And even they're tempted. They're like, dude, I need to put a cool fill in here. The fills are consistently shorter though, which I think works really well for this track, as they are the glue, they are the foundation. But they can't help themselves, just throwing a little thing in there from time to time. And the vocals, dude, I love this vocalist, man. There's just something about it. It's just a very bright tone overall that I think clashes really interestingly with some of their chordal ideas, bringing darkness into their mix and kind of having this battle between how his voice sounds positive or joyous, but that there's a negative feeling, a negative undertone to all of it because of the notes that's being sung. And I think that's only going to be embellished once I find the lyrics for this track and see what's going on there. But yeah, dude, everything about this is just excellent. I love the slower tempo end to this, dropping it from 5/4 to 4/4, dropping the tempo down and going for something heavier and moodier after all of this momentum. I'm sold. I don't remember how early I pulled this one. I didn't pull it down. I'm glad I mentioned something because I did not pull that down. I'm going to have to check out more from them. I've never heard a bad song, but I think this is one of the best ones I've heard from this group. And yeah, I think the thing too is that it almost pushes into a mix of like punkiness and math rock, almost feeling like it pushes into the realm of post-hardcore, like a mix between post-punk, not post-punk, post-hardcore and like pop punk. And it's just like a cool little mix there with the technicality, that flavor. It's just a beautiful combination of the technicality plus the digestibility, the poppier vocals and stuff like that. I'm all over that, 100%. All right, we are making good time today. And we're making good time without me feeling like I have to cut off any of my discussion. I think that's the main thing. I always feel bad if, we talk about a song or something and I talk for like two sentences. I'm like, oh, that's all I got to say about it. I don't feel like we've had that issue today yet, which is good. Up next, we have some Glass Bones. Interesting band name there. You should feel bad. Well, thanks, man. Now I'm going to be self-conscious about it. This one comes at us from Wormy. Seems like something up your alley. Post-hardcore with an acoustic guitar and emo-adjacent vocals. All that sounds great. Love all those descriptors. Let's dive into this, see what's going on with No Holds Barred. You roll my name on Album Reactor, get to roll record. Excellent, dude. I'm looking forward to that. To yap outside of flow of time. It must be stopped. Very eclectic mix of sounds here, but I'm on board so far. Acoustic guitar underneath this is cool. I thought it was a clean electric up top, but I think that's an acoustic also. The rambleless string. Yeah, I think everything is acoustic here, with the bass being an electric bass, but still very clean sounding. Yeah, this gets pulled down. Very playful, spacious positioning. Spatial positioning. It's almost kind of grungy too. Is the whole album like this? I don't know if Wormy's in here. I gotta know though. That's very cool. It's like acoustic emo with a touch of grunge in there. I think the grunge mostly, to me, comes from the harmonic palette. The whiny vocals, I mean, that kind of bleeds over to both genres. I love this, dude. We got the dual guitar work. One of them is just kind of like playing open chords, got a very warmer, resonant tone to it. The other one's playing these pluckier, lighter lines, and the way they're dancing around each other rhythmically is very cool. Yeah, instrumentation similar, very cool. And some harshes on other tracks. The bass, I mean, like I said, I think that's the only non-acoustic instrument in here, but it's also so warm and resonant. It feels like there's very little done to touch it up. So it kind of carries a lot of that acoustic warmth to it, even though it isn't an acoustic instrument. It doesn't have a lot of fuzz on it or distortion or anything. It blends well with the acoustic guitars going on. The vocals carry a lot of this. They're front and center through the entire mix. They're nasally, they're whiny, they're emo. That's my cup of tea right there. I would not be upset if anyone said it wasn't their thing, but to me, I think it works very well. But it isn't too thin either, which I think is a really nice balance for it. It is a little nasally, but it still has some width to it because it needs to contend with the warmth and resonance of all these acoustic instruments. And I think it does. It doesn't feel out of place. It feels like it mixes in very nicely. I don't think I've heard anything like this. You know, of course, you know, an acoustic ballad on an emo album or something. But this is like a full-fledged post-hardcore track with no distortion on it. I can't think of anything else like this. Would have liked this better with a Brave Little Abacus as vocalist. Now, I know you're joking. Actually, though, you know, bringing them up, I think they did have a few tracks that were acoustic instrument, or maybe all of them. They certainly, I think that they're a good comparison, good parallel to this group right here. You like this, all kidding aside? That's interesting. I figured you would have been the first one to not be on board with some element of this. Doesn't really feel like it's your jam from what I know of your tastes. I'm glad a few of you are enjoying this though. I feel like when it comes to music I like, I'm usually at odds with y'all. And it's cool to see something that people are enjoying that I am too. Yeah, I pulled that one down though. Them with Icarus the Owl. That's really great back to back. I have some good stuff to spin later on this week. We got some Downfall next. No, Distorted Harmony. Oh, geez, they're called Distorted Harmony. That's never a good thing. The track's called Downfall. This one's coming at us from Vermilion Gates. Nice melodic prog. All right, I can get there for that. Oh, you also liked Brave Little Abacus, at least musically. That checks out. Like I said, I see a lot of similarities between these two groups, so that makes sense. All right. See what's going on here. Get some melodic metal in our ears before we head out on some orchestral music. Certainly a bit brighter of a feeling, of an atmosphere for this band's title. I just had to check that I actually played the right thing. Nice moderate 3/4 to kick this song off. Ah, dude, that voice, very powerful, cuts through. So much quick movement on the vocals. Those ghost notes on the snare, a nice addition. This is a cool second section, but that second verse kind of lost a lot of direction. Bass tearing it up, lining up with the synth. That distorted synth is gnarly. Yeah, actually Haken, I've been trying to figure out where I recognize this. I get a little bit of Tesseract in the verses. Haken's a good parallel though. There's a lot of precision and clean production to this. And the vocalist, of course, is Very talented. A gorgeous singing voice. Yeah, a little bit like a, there's sections in there that remind me of Kill Switch. But I generally enjoyed that. I don't know if it's something I'm going to go out of my way to listen to. I find the verses to just be fairly one note, but here's the thing that I like about the verses. I'm not a big fan of the genty chugging going on the guitars, but the vocalist, his lines in the verses are interesting because I feel like there's more harmonic playfulness at stake here because there's just nothing that you can really clash with. The guitars are playing one note. As long as you don't play the sharp or the flat of that one note, you're probably not going to clash with what the rest of the band's doing. So you have a lot of room for melodic exploration. And the vocalist has these really neat runs, jumping up to a note and immediately like dropping back down. So it's like this really quick peak. There's these little runs in there, and it's a very playful vocal style that I feel like they have to rein it in a little bit during the chorus because the guitars shift to chords and there's just less room for exploration. And I find that those runs and melodic lines in the verse is really interesting. And a lot of that just comes through because there's not a lot going on in those. But the interesting thing is too, beyond that, is the second verse kind of lacked those and instead introduced space. The vocalist would sing a sentence and then take like 2 or 3 beats off and then sing another short sentence and a couple beats off. And the second verse just didn't go anywhere. And then it just randomly became the pre-chorus. So that kind of lost some steam for me. But I do like how there is that trade-off. We get to hear some more interesting instrumental work in the chorus, particularly from the drummer and the bassist. And then we get to hear more vocal focus in the verses. So there is that little trade-off there, spotlight shifting around. It is gorgeous, though. The chords on this are beautiful. They're just very wide and vibrant. The vocalist helps pull out some of that beauty from the chords as well. We had a pretty neat bridge on this, but it didn't really, I'd say, alter the track too much. And then the final chorus just kind of brings everything together. Solid track all around. I think everyone's really talented. I am going to pull them down, but not for this album. I think I'm going to look for a future album and see if maybe they've evolved or developed their sound at all. I think really just what I want in here is counterpoint, whether that's dual recording vocal lines or the guitars just doing more melodic things in here. But listening to the bass play that synth line early on in the track, something about that, I was like, dude, this band's got melodic chops. This song just isn't focusing too much on that. So there's got to be some music from this group that I'm really going to enjoy. This group reminds you, or this vocalist reminds you of the Carmen Jaka vocalist. That's not ringing a bell for me. It should. We've listened to Carmen Jaka a few times. I can't place the sound of the vocalist, though. I'll take your word on it, though. You got a pretty good ear usually, so doubt you're going to steer me wrong there. We're going to finish this up with some Einar Stray Orchestra. Glossolalia. I don't know if I pronounced that right. This one comes at us from Kevin with no context. Suppose we'll just dive straight into this then. See what's going on with them, with their track Glossolalia. It's just fun to say.
Bring me those young children in the back. Quickly, quickly, get them up here. The power is so strong on them. The power is so strong on them. Carry him if you need to. Carry him if you need to.
I gotta be out today at 1 o'clock. So I don't know if we'll have time for another one.
Oslo speaks to me in tongues. Glossolalia is a town where I
Glossolalia.
got from where it lungs. They say I'm in some kind of phase. I pour
That's an
my
interesting
heart
word.
out and they yawn. The roots that reach into the dawn underline my lack of grace.
I'm trying to think of where that would crop up. I vaguely remember someone waking up from a coma once and speaking a language they didn't speak before going into the coma. I can't see how glossolalia happens too often though. Speaking under the influence of spirits. Okay. Yeah, this is a very neat start. I'm excited to see where this develops.
I've learned to stray from the truth. I took the subway into work. We're underground, it's always dark. Is it the humming of the train or do they speak in tongues? My afterlife will be in songs. Minutes later I was home. I hit the surface and I woke up from my dream. A beautiful, ridiculous dream.
This white noise over here? This is a gorgeous track. They're doing a fantastic job at holding on to tension throughout it.
You gotta shake some dirty hands. You gotta kiss them like you can. Kiss it quick, then rise again. Is it the roaring of the trams or do we speak in tongues? Our afterlives and senseless songs. Conversation stays the same. I hit the surface and it rained upon my dream. A beautiful, ridiculous dream.
Oh, dude, yeah. This sounds great on headphones. I can't imagine on a phone. But it's incredibly rich and detailed. There's so many layers. The spaciousness of all the different parts is great too. Yeah, this one gets pulled down easy. It's so subtle too. like there's so many little changes throughout, whether it's a whispered part in the background to embellish on the main melody, or a little violin thing coming in from the side or something like that. It's just, there's so many gorgeous little components to this track that, I think the song by itself, if you just of course by itself, but if you just take the core of the song, the chord progression, the main melody, and maybe a percussion part to keep a rhythmic component, it's still going to be incredibly evocative. At its heart, it's just a really strong concept. But it's the little embellishes. It's the violins that are not coming in completely harmonized, but slightly behind one another. It's the vocal harmonies. It's the swelling of ideas, of volume, of layers. It's all these things that take it from a strong idea to excellent execution. And I've just, the storytelling on this is immaculate. That's what really grabs me. That's what tells me, dude, you need to listen to this again. You need to check this album out. You need to find out more from this composer, from this group, because it is everything. It's the core, it's the embellishing ideas, it's the execution, it's the production, it's the storytelling, the ambience, the atmosphere, the pacing, the melody, all of it, dude. It just comes together into something that is gripping. This is evocative. It's moody, but it's optimistic, but it's not overpowered by that. It's rooted and grounded, but wants to fly away. It is all of these opposites that just come together in a way that feels incredibly human. I don't even know what's being sung about. And I feel all of this in the track. But the thing is too, is that it's not overwhelming. It isn't something that feels too artsy for an average person to enjoy. There's a digestibility to all of this that is incredibly rewarding for repeat listens. There is more depth to it than your average song, but it isn't too complex either. Yeah, this is wonderful. And I can't wait to dive into this. When did this album come out? Oh, it's called Dear Bigotry from 2017. Oh, there is an A in there. Good call. I'll have to update that before I put everything together. Let me do that while it's on my mind, actually. I guess that's going to wrap this up. Great picks this stream. A lot of stuff to look at later. Yeah, I felt that I was a little, not underwhelmed, but the suggestions just weren't my cup of tea as we kicked the day off. But I think when we got 5 tracks in or so, I found a lot of stuff that was just hit after hit after hit. And I just started pulling down tracks left and right. So I ended up quite enjoying today. Really great stuff. I'm a little worried that we got a lot of the emo, punky, post-hardcore stuff right at the start of the stream, or start of the month. I figure we only have folk and metal ahead of us. Good job, randomizer. Yeah, we're going to wrap this up here, though. Thanks, everyone, for coming out, hanging out with me on this Sunday, enjoying some music, having some good conversation. Cool stuff today. Great picks. Looking forward to what we're checking out this week. I haven't had a chance to look at the polls. This is the last time that we won't have early access heading into a Monday. School does start tomorrow, so I will be able to put a full 40 hours a week back into the channel. And we'll be able to pick up the pace on everything. Special selections start again tomorrow, so back to form. Hey, Silly Stiz, what's up? Great job, team. Yeah, y'all are my team for picking music, so excellent job. I'm going to stick around for a second, see what Silly's got to say, and then we're going to sign off here. Yeah, go ahead. Ask a question. I got a minute. What else would I want to say, though? I think there was something else I was about to add. I don't remember what it is. But yeah, everything goes back to form, and that is good for me, at least. I'm sure y'all are going to enjoy the consistency again, but it's just a stress off my shoulders to kind of know everything. I have time for it all and to get back onto a regular schedule. Does anyone who wants to make music want to record a couple of their own lyrics and be on my project? You can actually go to the Discord server, which is somewhere. I think it's one of the links under the video. If not, there is a link tree underneath the video. You can join the server, and there's a Discord link under there. There's a lot of people in there who make music, and you'll probably find more people there who would be interested. There are a lot of Discord servers designed specifically around music creation that you might find better luck in as well. I wish I knew any of those off the top of my head, but if you join the Discord server and tag me and remind me on this, I'll try to get you a list by tomorrow. My today's pretty packed, but I'll try to help you out with that. How much wood could a woodchuck chick if a woodchuck could chick wood? I thought that was going to be trickier, given you switched vowels around. All right, y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you later.